Oh, and he liked Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew?
Hello friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content. Today, you already know, we are jumping right back into those r/neckbeard stories. I just can't seem to get enough. Even though it doesn't get updated very often, I do keep an eye out for those good stories, and I've also been doing a little bit of digging back through the archives, so you should see what comes of that quite soon. But for this video, let us not delay any longer, and we will jump right into these neckbeard stories. Spaghetti Hair is captivated with Milady. Milady captures his queen by Lady Saber, and we will be seeing quite a bit more from her in the coming videos, so keep an eye out for that. Little spoiler. Hey guys, this will be the first of many stories on this sub. I'm going chronologically to play catch up with the present. Players are me, Lady Saber, 16 at the time. I'm Finnish, grew up in Belgium, here in America on a 2-year exchange program. At this time, I'm still new to the country, school, and going through a bit of culture shock, and also realizing that my conversational English kinda sucks. Spaghetti Hair, SH. He's a string bean of a guy. He has long hair that could probably be wrung out for fryer oil. As is the case for most neckbeards, I do suppose. He wears this winter coat indoors, no matter the weather outside or temperature inside. For context, we're in North Carolina, which is hot and humid all year round. I don't think it snowed here in a decade. He's also working on a beard on and around his face that strongly resembles brownie crumbs. So it's my first week at school. I'm fortunate enough that my host family has a student in the same grade level as I am, so during lunches I would just hang out with his group of friends. On this day though, he's sick, with a full body cold. I planned to meet up with the normal group, but was late in getting to them. They'd gone off campus for lunch, I later learned. So I didn't really know what to do. I'm walking towards the cafeteria, figure I'll endure sitting by myself for an hour, when I pass a room full of other students who look like they're having a great time. I poke my head in, and I'm greeted by the teacher running the chess club. Call him Mr. N, really nice guy. I guess my accent was pretty distinct because he asked right away if I was the exchange student. I told him yes, and we sit down to play a game. The room is quite crowded, lots of people either playing chess or playing on the dozen or so computers. It's loud, and there's not a whole lot of space to move. This makes for so many good moments. I'm really thrilled to be there though. Checkers, chess, and Go were largely the only board games that I played growing up. Mr. N and I play together and talk a bit. I have to strain a little to grasp what he's saying. By the time we're about halfway through our game, I notice Spaghetti Hair hovering nearby. He made me a little uneasy from the start. I could tell he was spending more time watching me than watching the game. Mr. N and I finish, and Mr. N turns to the side, noticing Spaghetti Hair. Oh hey, Spaghetti Hair! Lady Saber and I just finished our game. Do you two want to play? I tell Mr. N sure, and Spaghetti Hair offers a handshake to me. The whole scene's pretty comical. He doesn't actually have a backpack, just 2 binders slung over each shoulder with straps, so one bonks into the table as he leans in. The hand I shook was a miracle of physics, being simultaneously ice cold and also drenched with palm sweat. Ugh. Mr. N gives up his seat to Spaghetti Hair, while I discreetly wipe my hand on my pants and reset the board. Even that is awkward. Spaghetti Hair half trips on the table leg and slouches into the chair, still wearing those 2 binders, dark hair shining lustrously against the fluorescent overhead lights. We open the game and he's talking a mile a minute. I'm more in the mood to play than talk though, and it's also hard for me to converse with all the distractions and background noise. The whole time he's taking glances at my chest with all the subtlety of a freight train. The way he's talking to me was really grating my nerves too. I'm not sure if he even realized it. He was upping the volume and talking slower with a slightly condescending tone, while still asking confusing open-ended questions. For example, he asked me what I thought about apes, and I originally thought he meant the animal, as anyone would. It's actually an acronym for Advanced Placement Environmental Science. Embarrassing. Yeah, for him, not you. From there, it got weirder. I beat him quickly the first time, and after a small tantrum, he asked, demanded to play again. He starts asking about things point blank that make me fidget.
Do I make you uncomfortable?
Yes.
What do you mean? Like, why won't you look at me?
Where I'm from, eye contact, especially repeated or over a length of time, is pretty suggestive and flirtatious. I'm not quite sure how to explain that, so I just tell him that I'm focusing on the board.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Whoa, what? At the time, I pretty much just wrote this off as a cultural thing. I told him no, I hadn't been in America that long.
Well, duh, but I mean like, back in your land.
In my land. Yes, my virtue is promised to a gallant landed knight of House Stark. I simply told him no, at which point he makes an sound, and I could hear him salivating. Ugh, shiver. We weren't able to finish our game before the end of the lunch period, mostly due to the fact that he was taking longer and longer to make his moves, even forgetting that it was his turn once it became clear that he was going to lose again. I reach to set the board back up and leave when he grabs my wrist like a slimy cold vice.
I'm gonna leave a sign so I can make my comeback tomorrow,
he told me, with 2 pawns and a bishop remaining on his side. I saw a few others doing this, so it was a normal thing. He scrolls out a little note in chicken scratch and stands aside so that milady may exit first. I shouldered my backpack and headed for class with -0 intention of returning the next day. I mean, obviously, spaghetti hair is just kind of awkward, like most high school students are around girls that they find attractive. But the biggest no-no in the story, the biggest cringe for me probably, is asking, do I make you uncomfortable? Why? If you have to ask the question, the answer is probably yes, absolutely. But luckily, OP's still willing to sit there and play a game with you, and you couldn't just do your best to turn things around and make things normal. Oh, poor spaghetti hair. At least that is the last of his embarrassment. But Lady Saber seems to be somewhat of a neckbeard magnet, so we will revisit her in another saga at some point in the future. Until then, let us move into the next story. The Tale of Michael the Neckbeard. One day ago. We went from 5 years ago to 1 day ago. Just all over the place. The incident itself happened about 2.5 years ago. This story includes sexual harassment and assault, so just a trigger warning. All names are fake for obvious reasons. Important, all the main characters of this story, myself included, are transgender people. The beard in question is also trans. Please do not interpret this story as proof that transgender people are inherently predatory. There's enough transphobia in the world, and it's making our life hell. If you do not like trans individuals, just skip this story. Easily done. Characters: OP, 15 or 16 at the time, female to male transgender. Alistair, he asked for a fancy name, so here it is. My best friend to this day, 19, female to male. Michael, the Beard, also 19, also female to male. Ramona, Michael's muse, 18, bisexual, cisgender. It all happened in the year of 2018. I was 15, turning 16 at the time. I've known Alistair for some time at this point, and he introduced me to his other friends. One of those friends was Michael. He was 19 at the time, and we weren't particularly close. We were just social media friends. The whole time period is pretty fuzzy in my memory, no surprise, because I've tried to repress it as best I could. So I don't particularly remember how me and Michael became close. I guess we just started talking more and met up as friends often. So here's the thing. I was desperate for a relationship at the time. My mental health was in a really bad place. I didn't take medication, and Michael took interest in me. Michael is very short, but that was okay with me. I like shorter guys. He wasn't on hormone replacement therapy at the time, but he had a typical teenage boy stash, and he bragged about how hairy he was all the time. His fashion sense was average. He wore blue jeans that were too long for him and refused to roll them up for some reason. He wore hoodies and graphic tees. He was on the heavier side, but unlike many neckbeards, his hygiene was intact, and he did indeed know how to use soap while showering. Thank God for that, at least. He adored Hitalia, oh Hitalia again, to the point that people called him by his favorite country's name. He himself made fun of nice guys and neckbeards, completely failing to realize that he was one of them. Oh, and he liked Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew?
Because, of course he fucking did. At the time, Michael was completely infatuated with a girl from across the country that he met on the internet. Let's call her Ramona. Michael's story with Ramona was rocky, to say the least. I didn't know this at the time. They were best friends for a while, until one day Michael confessed his feelings to her. She did not reciprocate, which devastated Michael, and he told that to literally every single person he met. During his crying sessions to absolute strangers, he outed Ramona as a bisexual. Note, she lives in a really homophobic state, and if someone found out, her life could potentially be in danger, so she was understandably furious with him. Michael overcompensated that by sending her gifts and money, none of which she asked for. Time passed by and Ramona started to warm up to him a little bit, mainly because he was acting so pathetic and seemed genuinely sorry, but that wasn't the end of it, of course. If you want to hear the tale of Sir Michael and Lady Ramona, let me know and I'll update. Anyways, he would babble about her all the fucking time, and I get it, it's tough when someone doesn't like you the same way as you do, but listening to the same story with the same exact wording over and over again was just exhausting. The first one who got tired of this bullshit was Alistair, and he tried to put Michael in his place, to no avail. Michael's main excuse was,
I just need someone to vent to. If I tell somebody about my feelings, I'll feel better.
Guess what? It didn't work. What this guy needed was therapy, and lots of it. Anyways, during the spring and summer of 2018, me and Michael grew increasingly close. We would cuddle a lot and jokingly flirt, hold hands in public, etc. I really liked him and wanted to be with him, but alas, he refused since he was oh so in love with Ramona. I was upset, but I understood. The logical thing in this situation would be to stop acting lovey-dovey with your friend if you love someone else, but no, he
needed me for emotional support and for physical affection.
I was a shoulder to cry on, a hand to hold, and, of course, a wallet. Michael was broke as fuck at the time, despite having a job. He spent all of his money in the first few days on alcohol and, obviously, Ramona. It was so bad that one of his friends literally took his money in cash and kept it at her house so he wouldn't spend it, with his consent, of course. But he still managed to be absolutely penniless by the end of the month. So I paid for everything. Food, transport, going out. I mean, I was fine with it since I did have the money. Why not help a friend out, right? This semi-romantic, uncertain relationship lasted for a couple of months until my birthday in July. It was my sweet 16th, and I wanted it to be memorable. And it was, but for all the wrong reasons. I invited about 10 people to my birthday party. I was really excited and also slightly overwhelmed since this was my first birthday that I would be celebrating without my family, and keeping a house full of teenagers quiet was quite a task. The whole night Michael was drinking. A lot. He constantly complained about how the alcohol wasn't kicking in and how he was still sober, even though it was obvious that he was pretty near wasted. Everyone told him to stop drinking, but he ignored them. At some point, half of the birthday party, including Alistair, decided to go to the river about a mile from my house. I wanted to go too, but it was my house, so I had to stay behind and keep things in check. We continued drinking and joking, and all was well, seemingly. Me and Michael were becoming more and more flirty, so we headed to my room. Both of us were drunk, but he was definitely more under the influence than I was. This is the part with the dubious sexual harassment. We get on my bed, he was on top of me, telling me
how much he enjoyed being in charge in the bedroom.
I was fine with that. He started touching me, but when I touched him or tried to kiss back, he quickly pulled away and nearly screamed at me that
he was in love with Ramona and she's the only one for him.
This repeated a couple of times until I gave in. I just laid there for a while, completely motionless. Then I understood what he wanted. He wanted me to be a sexual/romantic replacement for Ramona. He had no interest in me, he just wanted a cadaver to fuck and pretend that it's her. I felt disgusted and used. I don't remember if I tried to push him off and he resisted, but I remember telling him 2 times that I was uncomfortable, which he ignored. Finally, I managed to slither away from under him and said that this made me really uncomfortable. Then it hit him. He started bawling his eyes out about how sorry he was and how he wants me to forgive him. At this point, I just wanted to get away and be alone for a while, but he wouldn't let me. He was a crying, drunken mess, and I had no choice but to comfort him. He asked me not to tell anyone about what happened, so I couldn't ask anyone else to be with him. So I stayed, for way longer than I should have. He wouldn't even let me go to the bathroom to collect myself. He was having a full-blown panic attack. I was sick of his shit, so I called Alistair. His phone was dead, so I had to witness Michael weeping and begging for my forgiveness for another 30 long minutes. Although I'm sure it felt like much longer. When Alistair and the others came back, I looked dead and distraught. His words. I trusted him, so he went to deal with Michael. Alistair was fucking furious. He nearly slapped Michael across the face for not listening to anyone who told him to stop drinking, for nearly sexually assaulting me, and for playing the victim when he was clearly in the wrong. Michael insisted that he wanted to sleep in the same bed with me, otherwise he couldn't fall asleep. Meh. I obviously refused because I didn't want to be anywhere near him, but I also couldn't just send this beard home in fear that he'd die in a ditch due to his own stupidity. You should be so lucky, OP. Alistair, bless his heart, agreed to sleep in the same bed with Michael while I slept on the sofa in the same room. The next morning, Michael didn't remember anything. At least that's what he said. I genuinely don't know if that's true or if he was just trying to save his ass. When Alistair told him what happened, he got really quiet, collected his things, and left. I don't remember him apologizing, but at the time I was genuinely trying to forgive him since he was drunk and didn't mean it. I didn't tell anybody else about this for a while. I was forcing myself to get over this since our friendship seemed so good and he couldn't possibly take advantage of me because I liked him romantically. Not true. Unfortunately, in situations like this, context definitely matters. And for a long time, I was completely ignoring the fact that he was willing to have sex with me, even though I told him that I was uncomfortable. I still get shivers when I think about what might have happened if I wasn't bigger and stronger than him. I tried to carry on with our friendship as normal, but I was quickly losing attraction to him because I was fucking traumatized. I didn't want to hold hands anymore, cuddle, and even flirting made me uncomfortable. Instead of understanding and accepting that, he got offended, pouted, and still tried to initiate romance. Despite all that, I stayed, gaslighting myself that it was all fine. Looking back, I see that I was doing very bad mentally, and this whole thing affected me on a deeper level than I'd like to admit. I would have panic attacks if someone mentioned his name or the situation.
I feel a tiny bit like a little upset. She shut me down.
I felt repulsed by any romantic gestures. I developed really bad trust issues, and I still have trouble trusting romantic partners or even entering a relationship. It all came to a clusterfuck when we decided to drink, yet again. Even though I felt repulsed by him, I still started kissing him and he was fine with that. It ended up with us rather explicitly making out on a bench. I still don't know why I did it. I guess it was my way of taking back control. Or another attempt to forgive him for what he did because, look, I'm the one kissing him now. When he tried to fuck you, it was fine because you're trying to do the same right now. I honestly don't know. I try not to think about this, but I think it's important to include this for the sake of transparency. After that, Michael traveled to Ramona's hometown and a bunch of other crazy bullshit happened, which is worth its own post. But while he was gone, I understood that I needed to heal from my trauma and back away from him for a while. A couple of days after, he returned home, and I sent him a long message explaining why I was distancing myself, to which he replied, "I'm really sorry, OP." I blocked him after that so he couldn't randomly message me and try to slither his way back into my life. Some time went by. I saw him at a couple of social gatherings. We were civil, but I made sure to be cold, not wanting to give him false hope. At this time, Alistair also stopped talking to him, even though he didn't block him. There are other reasons why Alistair didn't cut Michael out completely, but that's another can of worms, and not really my tale to tell. Michael continued to message Alistair, pleading him to ask me to forgive him, and just to chat in general, because at this point, he had no friends. He annoyed everyone, and more people gradually found out about the incident between us. Alistair, being the good person he is, said no, but tried to reason with Michael and help him to get over it. Of course, every single one of his attempts was futile. As soon as there was any slight hint of progress, it shattered in less than a second, because Michael always came to the conclusion that
I should forgive him.
if I was ready to forgive Michael for the incident because he was blackout drunk, I could not forgive this. It just showed that he was only sorry for himself. He wanted me to
Give him another chance.
not because he wanted to make things right and he became a better person. It was all because he stayed the same shitty, selfish beard that he was and probably always will be, unable to live with the consequences of his own actions. The semi-constant bargaining with Alistair went on for a year and a half. Yes, that long. Later, it just resumed to Michael asking to get back his things that he left at my house, a hoodie and some books. None of us wants to meet up with this fucker, so his things remain to this day in the darkest corners of my house. At some point, Alistair just started ignoring him, and the beard was mad. The straight-up ignoring went on for 2 months. During this, Michael said that
My problems with him were just between the two of us,
and that
Alistair was being a shitty friend, and he just wanted his things back.
the last messages Alistair received from him were in November 2019. The messages were the following.
Listen, man, it's not okay to ignore me, and I'm getting pissed off. If your friendship with OP means more to you, you could have said so. Hell, man, amazing friendship, just amazing friend. Give me my things and off. But no, you have to ignore me like the rat you are. Your pissy offenses don't have to affect someone else's property. You two pissy mother.
Me, Alistair, and my boyfriend at the time responded to this by sending him a voice message of all of us laughing at his rage fit. His response,
Amazing. Very funny. Apparently, I don't deserve to be treated with basic human dignity.
and he blocked Alistair. That was the last time any of us talked to, or rather, were spoken at, by Michael. Me and Alistair recently saw him in a cafe. He looked like he was about to approach us, but Alistair gave him an obvious death glare, so there was no further interaction. Thank you for reading this story. It was a wild-ass ride, but now we can laugh at it. I'm glad I found this subreddit. It made me realize that Michael was a total fucking neckbeard, and a nice guy. There are some more details about his personality that I left out for privacy reasons. If you want to know more about the tale of Michael and Ramona, let me know. I'll gladly continue this saga. And I have left a comment encouraging OP to do just that, so we shall see what comes of it. This is a story that goes to prove you don't have to be born male to be a nice guy at the end of things. It just always hurts to have, stories of assault and stuff coming through these subreddits. I mean, it takes a lot of courage, OP, to put this story out there, and hopefully it helps to heal your pain at least a little bit regarding the situation. I know that I would probably have some trauma if a situation like that happened to me. Luckily, I'm an ugly fucker, so I don't have to worry about it. No, but seriously, I'm pretty shocked at the audacity of Michael to be like, I don't get to be treated like a human being. It's like, yeah, dude. Rapists don't get to be human beings anymore, okay? You gave up your humanity when you decided to assault somebody for fucking sexual gratification because you can't figure out how to get your little rocks off any other way. Ugh. Super hateable. But all things considered, I think these are a couple of the tamer neckbeard stories that we've read recently. I'm definitely cooking up some more content for you guys. Gonna try to get back into uploading daily. It is difficult though. Every 3 days fits my schedule a little bit better, but if you want to encourage me to upload daily, then you can hit me up on the Twitter or the Discord or the Patreon. I'm also thinking about making a Facebook page. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, I'd like to thank my beautiful, beautiful patrons We got Damon Darkstar, Lady Nix, Crimson Albedo, Dot Nathan, Robert Waits, Just Austin, and Big Boy, Balos Bugo, my man. I appreciate you guys so much for helping me to live the dream. If you'd like to hop on the Patreon, show me a little love, there are some rewards, you know, get a little one-on-one time with me, record some custom voice lines, things like that. It's a work in progress. If you've got any ideas for reward tiers that you would like to see, do let me know. I shall consider them, surely. But anyways, friends, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll like, comment, and or subscribe. If you did, please take care of yourselves out there. Do not forget to wash your hands all the time, always. And also do something that you enjoy today, because you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I will see you in the next one, friends. And until then, bye-bye.